What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of J Talks Hoops. We're going to be talking about Courtney Williams and how she was calling out the Caitlin Clark haters. And I love Courtney Williams as a basketball player. She's a great floor general. She fits really well with the Lynx offense, averaging 6 assists a night next to Fee Collier. That pick and roll action between those two are just deadly. And the Lynx are 10-1. I'm not surprised, and I wouldn't be shocked if they actually win the championship this year. I'm pulling for the Lynx, but I think the Liberty will find a way again. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I like where they're heading as a basketball team. And, with Courtney Williams at the helm, and you've got the MVP front runner and Fee Collier, because I think she's going to win it. That team is fun. And shout out to Courtney Williams for recognizing that Caitlin Clark is the real deal. But let's see what she had to say here.
I ain't gonna lie, Sabrina was cooking, but Caitlin was cooking, bro. Go look at her stat line, bro. Now, when I was in the chat and I said Caitlin make them girls different, y'all was in the chat talking about
8 rebounds, 9 assists, 32 points.
I said, who was in the chat when I said that? And then and they was in the chat hating. I literally said, I said.
And that's every generational player that comes into the NBA or the WNBA. When it came to LeBron James, I used to hate LeBron. Now I don't, because I look at him as a basketball player and the gifts he possesses with the playmaking, the athleticism, the longevity. You got to give it up to him. I know his antics off the court can be somewhat questionable at times. I'm not going to defend that part. But when it comes to him as a basketball player, you can't deny his greatness. You can't deny how good he is as a NBA player. And if you're saying to me that you don't want LeBron James on your team and you're the GM, I want you fired immediately. I don't want you running my organization whatsoever. So when we just keep it about basketball, there's obviously going to be haters out there because they're going to look for things to nitpick about your game. We're seeing it with SGA right now in the NBA Finals, where we're like, oh, he foul baits all the time. Without that, he's not a good player. When the reality is he's getting less calls in these playoffs. He's still averaging over 30. And I believe if he didn't have all the foul calls that he was getting, he would still get over 30 a night because he doesn't rely on a three-point shot. He goes to the rim constantly. He puts pressure on the defense. And he's good at what he does in the mid-range. And I think that's a great trade, and we don't talk about it enough because fans today, we're complaining about, oh, too many threes. And here's a guy like SGA not relying on a three all the time to get his buckets. So no matter what player you're supporting, there's always going to be haters out there that don't want to recognize their game and acknowledge their greatness. Like a Caitlin Clark. I mean, she almost had a triple-double against the New York Liberty, the best team in the WNBA, in my opinion. If you want to say the Lynx, I have no problem with that. But, man, you go out there and put on a show, you come back from an injury, and you do that to the Liberty, and you're still hating, I just feel sorry for you.
I think they was playing Dallas or something, and I was like,
DB didn't play.
Oh no, actually that's when DJNA was on here, because I was like, we was talking about the game, and I basically was like, well, the other team might have a chance because Caitlin ain't playing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then everybody in the chat was like, and I was like, bro, what is y'all talking about? That girl make that team different. And everybody was in the chat hating, and I said, all right, bro. And now look, what I say.
Shout out to Courtney Williams. Much respect to her and the Lynx. I thoroughly enjoy watching them play basketball. They had a really great playoff run. It definitely ended in heartbreak. I know some people are upset about the questionable foul call when they were up 56-54 and the Liberty got 2 free throws and they sent it to overtime. However, she's great at what she does. Caitlin Clark is great at what she does. That's where the WNBA needs to get up to a place where they're just giving credit to players. I'm not saying that you can't have rankings, that you can't have preferences, that you can't rank one player ahead of the other. But, man, when it comes to this league and the national media around a Caitlin Clark, around a Fee Collier, and other players that they don't lift up, they constantly talk about gender, equal pay, racism, or race in general, it gets tiring after a while. I don't care if Caitlin Clark is Asian, if she's black, if she's brown, red. I do not care about her race. She is really good at playing basketball. When you look at the NBA, they don't have these talking points. Do they have dumb takes? Yes, they do. Of course they do. Like they're discussing is Halliburton a superstar. There's a conversation recently about how Giannis Antetokounmpo is underachieving right now because he only has 1 championship. You look at the other side of the coin, with the national media towards the WNBA. They don't promote the players they have enough. We look at a Fee Collier. They don't give her enough love. We look at, of course, Caitlin Clark. They don't give her enough attention. Sabrina Ionescu, another player they should be talking about and propping up more. They have the players in place. It's just that the league fails them. You go to like the YouTube channels, the highlights are terrible because they end abruptly. Look at how they market these players. It's just really bad stuff. And then the main talking points when you hear the national media is gender, race, and increasing their pay. Don't hear enough about the game. That's why fans get tuned out and why they don't watch enough of this, because if that's all they see, well, they're like, why should I stick around? Because if I'm being lectured about how I need to treat people or I need to pay you more, it's like, you don't deserve it. You haven't earned your stripes yet. The WNBA has never made a profit. And until that happens, then you have no credibility. So again, as long as they're living off the NBA, as long as they're collecting their paychecks from the NBA, then nothing's ever going to change. You can complain all day long and fans will probably say, oh, well, you don't watch the games, or, you don't really care about women. No, that's not true. I want the WNBA to get to a new level. But if they don't do things properly and they don't mimic what the NBA does, where they actually promote their players. Now, I think they haven't done a good job with transitioning off LeBron, Curry, and Kevin Durant, in my opinion, because they continue to show them on Christmas games and national media games when they should be focused on the smaller markets and the players like the Jokic's, the SGAs of the world, the Tatums of the world. Those guys should get more attention, in my opinion, because they're the younger generation and they should be propped up more. That's just how I feel. I know there's no face right now in the NBA outside of, you could say, like LeBron, Steph, and KD, but eventually you got to move on. So that's my critique of the NBA. However, when it comes to the WNBA, they just need to do a better job of just talking about basketball. Stay away from the politics. Stay away from talking points that gaslight your fans and gets nothing accomplished. Courtney Williams, Fee Collier, that pick and roll action is just unbelievable to watch. The way the Liberty are playing, I mean, they just lost their first game against the Fever on Saturday. They've been phenomenal this season. There are plenty of storylines in the WNBA that can be talked about more outside of race. That's just my opinion. Whether you agree or disagree, I'm just here to just give you my thoughts. And shout out to Courtney Williams for recognizing the game that Caitlin Clark has. Again, there's always going to be haters. There's always going to be people who aren't going to like your favorite player, even if they're generational, because that's just how the world works, because negativity is not going to just go away. But you can at least talk about the game, give your opinions and thoughts, and you let the fans decide from there. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I'd love to hear your thoughts about what Courtney Williams had to say about Caitlin Clark. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys also share the video, and I'll see you in the next one.